Hey guys, this is Hannah from Hannah Hearts Book 6, and I am going to do a February wrap-up today. The first book I read this month, Bad Girls Throughout History. 100 Remarkable Women Who Changed the World. So, I really liked this book, and I actually read the majority of this in January, but I basically just read like a little story a night, or a couple stories per night. Like, basically I gave that 4 stars, and it is by Shen, and it is basically just 100 different little like 1 to 2 page stories about these women that maybe you know about, maybe you don't know about. Judy, Blume is included, Oprah Winfrey is included, Sojourner Truth, Jane Austen. I really liked it. I didn't give it 5 stars because there were some that I was like, should we really be praising these women for doing these things? But you know, whatever. So, also if you're wondering what I'm drinking, it's a venti pink drink because I'm a basic white girl. The next book I read is The School Story by Clements. This is actually a reread for me. I read it when I was in elementary school, but basically the story is about Natalie Nelson, and her mother is an editor at a publishing company. The book opens with Natalie's friend reading the story that she wrote, and her friend convinces her that she should publish this book. And so basically it's the story of them trying to get her book published, but they want her mom to be the editor. So it was 3 stars. I liked it a lot more when I was a kid. Obviously it's meant for kids, but also I've read a lot of middle grade and like children's literature books that were 5 stars, so I just kind of, I don't know, I wasn't very believable, like this 11-year-old can publish a book but all these other books are not. Like, it was just very unrealistic. But I listened to that on audio actually, and I mean I really liked the audio format because I was writing a lesson plan while I was doing it. It was really helping me not focus on my lesson plan. So that was great. Okay, the third book I read is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and this was a 5 out of 5 star read. It is like very hyped up and everybody loves it, and I am contributing to that bandwagon of loving it because it is amazing. So if you haven't read this book, just go and read it. Like, I started reading this in like 3 to 4 months ago or something, and I got a couple chapters in and I was like, maybe this book isn't for me, but it is wonderful. And if you don't know what it's about, you've probably been living under a rock. But anyway, Star Carter, and she witnesses her best friend Khalil get shot and killed by the police. This is not a spoiler, it happens within the first chapter, and this book is just basically about police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement. So this book is hilarious. I know it's very heart-wrenching obviously, but this book is hilarious, and Star's family is lovely, and you will fall in love with the Carters. And I am so excited because I think Angie Thomas is going to write a book about her dad, like a prequel story, and I'm so excited for it. So this book was amazing. Angie Thomas, you wrote a great book. The next book I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And by the way, I love this cover. Is this not like, it's just a book, but it's a book of matches. Like, it's so cute. But anyway, I don't know if cute is like the greatest word, but I'm going to put this down now. I read the last like 60 pages in February. The rest I read in, I think, January, maybe even December, who knows. But because it went back to the library and I got it back, and I was kind of, I don't know. The writing is, I mean, it's kind of a classic, so the writing is just not as fun as like The Hate You Give or like any of the other books I read. But I reread this book because it was another book that I read in middle school, and I read it in 8th grade. And the funny thing is I can remember distinctly falling asleep in class reading this book, and I didn't understand it at all. And also, I've been kind of rereading some of the books that I read in high school and middle school, the ones that I like thought that I hated, and I've been rereading them, and I've actually been enjoying them. Like, they're never going to be my, like, 5 out of 5, like, favorite book, but I'm giving them another chance, and I'm really, really liking them. So, I gave Fahrenheit 51, I gave it 3 stars. I honestly would probably give it more like 3.5 stars, because there was just a lot of things that, like, it made me think about how different life would be if we couldn't read books, and, like, if our whole life was centered around, like, these 4 walls. And if you've never read the book, I know sometimes with classics people kind of, like, don't tell you the synopsis, because I guess it's been around for so long, you should probably know it. But basically, it is a dystopian novel about this place where the firemen no longer put out fires, they're the one who start the fires. It's about this guy named Guy Montag, who is a fireman, and he meets his neighbor, and his neighbor kind of changes his ideals, and he rethinks his life as a fireman and what life would be like if books were not illegal. Okay, so the next book I read in February was Ive Got Your Number by Sophie Kinsella. And I actually listened to this on audio because Heather over at Bookables, every time she mentions Sophie Kinsella, she says to listen to them on audio because they're hilarious. And the reason that I picked up this book is because of Heather's video, but then also Brittany from Brittany Freaking Reads and Brittany Freaking Williams on Instagram. I've talked to her through live shows. I met her through a Booksmala live show. So thanks Booksmala for making live shows, because you make friends. But anyway, I was talking about how I got Wedding Night at the library for really cheap. And she was like, actually that book, I don't like that book. But I've Got Your Number is my favorite, and I've Got Your Number is also Heather's favorite. So I was like, okay, let me read this, or let me listen to this on audio. And I loved it. I'll give it 5 out of 5 stars. And man, just like the couple in this is so cute. And if you don't know what it's about Poppy, who is engaged to be married to this man named Magnus, and she loses her engagement ring. And she is freaking out about losing her engagement ring at this party. And then she didn't just lose her ring, then her phone, her phone literally gets stolen out of her hand on the street while she's trying to call her friend to figure out where her ring is. So basically, she finds this phone in a trash can, where it's like, Sophie Kinsella is British, so they call it a bin. She finds this phone in the bin, and she's like, okay, I'll take it. And she answers the phone to this guy, and it ends up being his PA's phone, and she becomes his PA, and hilarity ensues from there. Also, there's a bunch of footnotes in this book, and on audio, the footnotes were great. I read it kind of on an ebook too, and the footnotes were just not as fun. But listen to it on audio, because her footnotes are really hilarious. So yes, Sophie Kinsella, you wrote a pretty dang funny book. So anyway, the next book I read is a Nancy Drew mystery book called The Secret of the Old Clock by Carolyn Keene. This is the first Nancy Drew book, and I fell in love with it. It's about 18-year-old Nancy, who is a sleuth. I love in the book when they're like, the young sleuth, like, just so cute. But basically, it's set in the 30s, and her father is a lawyer, and this book opens with a van almost running over this little girl, and Nancy witnesses it. She goes in the house, and a mystery ensues from there. It just was lovely, and I was so glad that I read it. I just read the second one, and these are just so cute. They're really predictable, obviously, because they're middle grade, but it's just really cute. Then, finally, the last book I read. I've been filming for so long. Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing by Judy Blume. Fudge, his little brother, got on my dang nerves. And it's funny because this was my sister's favorite book when she was younger, and I asked my sister, I was like, did you like these books because Fudge reminded you of me? And she said, yeah. And I was like, I was not that annoying. this book opens with Peter Hatcher, he winning a turtle at a friend's birthday party, and he takes it home and he talks about his little brother Fudge, who is very annoying and does a lot of weird things. And my goodness, it was just hilarious. Like, there's all, like, every chapter is like a little story about Fudge, and oh my goodness, I wanted to put the mother in her place because she would not rein Fudge in. And there was one point where she did, and I was like, finally, she finally was a mom. And oh my gosh, and Peter's commentary is just so funny, and I'm so glad that I read this. And it was a really short read. I actually read it while I was getting my oil changed, but just, it was great. So that's the end of my February wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you read any of these books, tell me how you like them. And I don't know what I was gonna say.